Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me? Over.
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower. Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. Say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah!
Get some. Hurrah. What's going on, everybody? Well, these fucking things aren't working right now. Let me get my Keurig out of the way and get you all situated. What's going on, everybody? I hope you can hear me okay out there on the interweb. So another baby Friday is upon us, or Friday night's Eve, as I also like to call it, is here. And yeah, we're ready to go. We got a really good show for you today. Been moving and shaking. So I've been like going like a million miles an hour, busier than one-legged man at an ass-kicking contest, as as my buddy Kevin says all the time. But before we get started, let's get all the due diligences out of the way. Due diligences, is that a real word? Anyways, this show is brought to you by Primerica. Have you heard of the rule of 72? The rule of 72 is basically if you take 72, that's a constant number, and if you were to divide it by whatever percentage rate you're getting by the bank, it will give you the amount of time it would take your money to double at that banking facility. So just for giggles and shits, let's say your bank is gracious enough to give you 1%. If you divide 72 into 1, it will give you 72 years for your money to double. So if you have $1,000, it would take 72 years for that money to turn into 2,000. So who here has 72 years left in their life? I mean, I think I do. I think that's a long shot, but who knows? But basically, bottom line is that we want our money to double quicker. So if your money grows between getting a return of 8 to 12% return or interest rate, I think your money would double every 6 years. So give the folks of Primerica a shout out, or it's on the show description right there. Give them a call, link up with them. They'll get you taken care of, and they'll do a financial needs analysis, basically paint you a blueprint of how to get better and how your money will grow quicker. Okay? No commitment whatsoever. Okay. Also, this show is brought to you by Castle Global Services. Over there at Castle Global Services, they have an array of many different things, how they can help you out with your internet, your mobile phone. If you're a business, one of the great products that they have is Sphere, where, if you're taking in credit cards or would like to take in credit cards, they have a program where out of a very low percentage, you can take in credit cards and, take your business to the next level. So it's all on the show description. You can go to castleglobalservices.acnibo.com and check them out. Okay. In addition to that, this show is also now sponsored by the VA. So here's an awesome message from them.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Do you want easy access to VA Online, as well as other government websites? Then login.gov is the way to go. Login.gov is a U.S. government service that provides seamless access to government websites. By creating a login.gov account, you can use the same email and password to sign into va.gov, My Healthy Vet, VA DoD e-benefits, and the VA Health and Benefits mobile app, among other VA services. Login.gov also allows you to securely sign in to USA Jobs and TSA PreCheck, and to apply for SBA small business loans and disaster assistance. One login, many resources. To create a login.gov account, simply go to va.gov and click sign in.
What the hell? No, I'm Mac Richmond. All right. Anyways, I figured out the problem. Basically, I forgot to plug something. See, that's what happens when you kind of rush trying to get stuff done. So, but nonetheless, we figured it out. Hey, this show is also brought to you by the Great American Constitution. of the US of A. Riot kill. So what does that mean? Is that, hey, you get to hear this sexy ass accent for the next, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. And we'll talk about just some random shit that just pops to my head, or that you may not agree with. Or if you do, great. If you do agree with it, like, subscribe, and follow. Pass, let other people's know. If not, then go ahead and check something else out. Swipe left, something from switchradio.com. They got a bunch of cool stuff on there. I podcast that, Combat Vet Vision, Todd the Bow, this, that, a bunch of other stuff. So check them out, like and subscribe, and then we'll go from there. Anyways, that's all the logistics, sponsors, and blah blah blah. So, anyways, today I was thinking, hey, what do we know? As I always do, I'm like, hey, what will be a good topic today? So today I get to talk about me a little bit. So that's why I kind of named it Deployed and Delirious. Just some funny shit that happens to me, or I thought it was a pretty cool story to share with you guys. When I was in deployment. Now I'll say this, there may be some people on here who may agree or disagree, but the bottom line is combat, conflict, war, whatever it is that however you want to relate to it, is it sucks. It because you're going from one place to the other. You gotta meet. Sometimes you have a timeline. Sometimes sometimes you're on the go, and in addition to that, and those very little times in between, when you have time to just kind of reminisce about who's home, how are they doing, do they miss you, do they not, if you're single, or if you're not, well, even if you're married, is my significant other being visited by Jody? you know, or Susie, for that matter. Jody and Susie are mystical characters from the Marine Corps who we got to know very well while going through boot camp. Susie is probably banging your boyfriend, and Jody is probably banging your girlfriend. So all I'm saying is that you're home thinking of, because sometimes all you have time is just to think. There's nothing else to do, and maybe some 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 missions or whatever. But sometimes all you do is just have time to think, and just and you ruminate. You start building these movies in your head. God damn, I'm having problems with my significant other. He or she is probably back home, doing this and blah blah. And then by the time you get on the phone, you're fucking pissed off and like, what the fuck? What are you doing back home? Right? It happens. It happens. It happens all the time. So, or you just get homesick. I mean, and very little time to vent or do anything of the sort. But there are those few times in between where something just good happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and share some pictures. We'll go ahead and then I'll try to tell a story behind this. But the bottom line is, when I was in Iraq, let me see if the folks back in the studio get it all. So this is me right there. Look at that killer right there. I don't know if we can zoom in a little bit on that, but this guy right here was pretty much going to win the war all by himself, next to Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris is a badass mother effer. But yeah, that's me back in 2003. I was on active duty as a young motivated sergeant, and we got to, this is in Kuwait, and a few days before we crossed the line of departure into Iraq. Let's go and go to the next photo. Iraq is not a bad place, as we, again, depending on which way you look at it. So what do I mean by that? It's not a bad place. It's people. People who are just trying to make it day by day, going on with their lives, living, under the oppressions of some prick that just doesn't respect, or value life as a whole. So for the most part, they're just people who are trying to, get by with whatever it is that they got being provided by their government or whatever they can scrounge up. So as you can see right here, there you can see little kids right there, and people for the most part. This is back all the way in 2003 when we took 4th LAR Battalion. Shout out to my fellow Iron Horses out there who hopefully are hearing the show. We went over there, and people were, hey, thumbs up, USA, American. For some reason, when they always did this, and they said Michael Jackson. I don't know. It's like maybe time paused for a little bit, over there. And it was back in 2003. So anybody else, the shit that they was, hey, Michael Jackson, cool. So I mean, Michael Jackson made it all the way to Iraq. So, but that's my Humvee. It was dubbed Beans and Crackers. I was the beans, and the staff sergeant who was part of the uh, reserve staff admin, he was Crackers. So that's what we named the beast. It was great times, no air conditioning, 130-degree weather, so it was all good. All right, let's go to the next one. And for the most part, as you can see, those two cross swords, that's something very, very common across the Middle East. You see those cross swords and all over the place. There's a similar statue or monument when I was in Qatar and back in the mid 90s. So this right here is a jailhouse that I believe that is the jailhouse where they had some of the prisoners and stuff. The memory really escapes me because again, this is a long ass time ago, so I'm digging into the archives right over here. But nonetheless, you get to see some really cool stuff out there as you're driving around. Go ahead. So, well, this actually, I sent this picture kind of early, but this is this young killer back in the in '96 in Qatar. But look at that young motivator. He was gonna, he was the next action figure or action star of making movies. All right, but let's go ahead and move on to the next one. But for the most part, Iraq is again, it's got water. I mean, it's got that's the Tigris River right there. Uh, you know, it's not what you would think of a place, where, oh shit, we're going to the desert. I mean, there are a lot of areas like that. However, it's got, bodies of water and such. And obviously wherever there's water, just like anything else, there's going to be, population. But again, you can see the people, this is before pre-digital photographs. So, we were still doing photos on paper. For those of you who are in your early 20s or late 20s, it is pre-digital. But people, for the most part, people are waving and stuff. And whenever we had time, we used to hand out candy, Starburst, charms, whatever, or M&Ms, whatever was in our MRE package. We used to just give it away to the kids because who knows when was the last time that they got something like that, cool like that. All right, go ahead. So this is where we were at. It was a really cool place. This is, and I got many other. I'm just breaking this diary down, or these stories, because at this place right here, this is on one of Saddam Hussein's palace. This is in not that far from Adiwania. Okay, so Adiwania, or the university, as we used to call it, because that's where another Marine Corps hub was. So actually, a logistics hub was. We used to call it the AD, the university. So over there at Diwania, we used to go get parts, logistics with from the other branches. It was a huge hub. So we were, I believe, north of that place, about 40 kilometers, so about 2 hours, something like that, on the drive, because depending on the roads and such. But anyways, this is one of Saddam Hussein's palace, and where I'm pointing with that little arrow right there. That was a man-made lake. The lake was about, I don't know, 4 feet deep as a whole, and that little area that used to be a little shopping center. Again, it's a huge, I don't know, what would I say, compound, or it was just lot of land, and that's where the Iron Horse, Fourth LAR. That's kind of where we were at, and it was a really cool place out there. So, as on our many convoys, as we were looking again outside the wall of this perimeter, I don't know how we missed this thing from the beginning, but we saw a fucking boat. It was this boat that we just left there. It looked like a military boat, but it had no engine, it had no nothing. So one day, it was part of one of our missions. We went out there and recovered it. We took a squad of Marines and a tram, which is basically a 10,000-pound forklift, to retrieve this thing on one of our vehicles, and we threw it in the back, and then we brought it on this man-made lake. Okay, everybody can use a boat. Let me tell you, having a boat was the shit out there. All right, so let's go to the next photo. And this lake, was man-made. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too hot, too cold either. But you can see this one of the little puppies out there that was actually belonged to the family that used to live amongst us in one of the houses in this little compound. Because as you pointed on that previous photo, it was a little arrow, and it was like an old shopping center is the bottom line. And then one of the families who just moved in there after, because this palace from Saddam Hussein was abandoned, and it had this whole bunch of land. And by the way, in this palace were many historical things, like the old city of Babylon. So we used to call this place Babylon. That was its tactical name, because that's one of the first city. If you for those of you who read the Bible, are into the Bible, again, this is pre-Bible stuff. So this is Mesopotamia back in the day. So the city of Babylon is actually on there. Now I'll do that, and this will be several parts of us staying in this place. But anyways, on there you had the Ishtar Gate, you had the Tower of Babel, you had the King Nebuchadnezzar palace. Nebuchadnezzar being the name of the ship in the Matrix. For those of you who want to put two and two together. Anyways, bunch of cool shit happened over there. So I was very blessed and lucky to have been part of all this stuff. So anyways, this lake, the family, the dog right there. So just kind of building, the whole story. So we got this boat in. Go ahead, next photo. And so we got this boat in, and that's yours truly right there. We thought that we were cooler than shit. And there were other units, because the 1st Marine Division had taken over this entire grounds, so to speak. And up at the castle, in the palace, that's where the 1st Marine Division was housing everybody. The floors were made out of marble all over. They had gold trimmed doors. I mean, Saddam Hussein, this dude lived his life in freaking lifestyle. I mean, the dude did not spare anything. And because this place, Babylon, had so many amenities. He had the city of Babylon, the tower, all kinds of cool stuff. It even had the Lion of Babylon, which is for thousands of years, this statue was there. It no longer exists. I got to see it. So again, that'll be part of another episode. But that was me, and then I was the official rower of this boat. And so we used to row from point A to point B to go to our meetings. If we had to go to the CO, the commanding officer's meeting, we would take our boat because we thought we were cooler than shit. Go ahead. And that's yours truly right there rowing. Again, these are photos pre-digital stuff, so you can see a little bit of the quality is not the best. But let me tell you, this fucking boat used to just bleed in and take in water like you wouldn't believe. So we called this thing the USS Minnow, named after for those of you who are young enough to still remember the TV show Gilligan's Island. And it was about these people who got lost in a storm, and the boat sank and ended up marooned in an island for many years. It was just an old show from the 50s and 60s that came about. But anyways, that's me right there. And I was the official rower. We actually used tent poles from our gear from our vehicles. We call that SL3 gear, or basic issue for our vehicles. So when you had to camouflage the trucks, we used to have these poles. So I was kind of like an Italian, one of those guys who rows singing, when the moon hits your eye like a big. Anyways, so I'll be rowing this thing because nobody else seemed to get the shit right, or maybe they were just faking it right now. Now that I think about it, maybe they're just faking it, and I was the guy who was rowing. But anyways, nonetheless, we used to row on this thing back and forth, and actually there were fish in there in that lake. No, we never ate them because we never knew what the heck was in this is a man-made lake. But we again it just little things like this, it kind of humanized the whole aspect of us being deployed in this misery loves company type of environment. Uh, you know, so being out there just kind of this in between missions and running around town because aside from the grunts and I'm not taking away anything from those guys who are out there, moving forward, fighting, trying to get trying to fighting the enemy and such. I mean, the logistics train follows behind them, and we're trailing behind their movement and such. And for us, we were supporting light armor vehicles, or LAVs, which are personal. Some of them are carry personnel, which is a platoon, basically, or a squad inside one of these vehicles. And whenever they get to wherever these vehicles, the personnel inside deploy, and they do their piece. Some of these vehicles have 25 millimeter guns on them. Some of them have anti tank weapons, missiles, and all kinds of other stuff. So again, we're trailing behind, supporting the effort, but we're pretty much distributed all over the that northern area close to the Iran border. So again, in between us driving around, fixing vehicles, and doing all kinds of stuff, we had these moments where you kind of felt human for a little bit, and for us was this old ass fucking boat, and let me tell you, it was great. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Here I am right there. I had a big again. I haven't chewed for God knows. I actually quit dipping or chewing as dipping as what we used to call it. I don't know if you guys use, but I used to chew tobacco back. It's called cherry flavor. It was fucking gross. I don't know why, but I haven't done that for many years. But that's me right there pointing onward. I'm trying to tell everybody, hey, that's where we're going. I got big fat chew in my stomach. You can see the water is pretty much, it's like mid deep in. And if you depending on the area where you were sitting, you were actually getting your boots wet on this thing. But a lot of cool memories. I remember one of the sister companies that was attached that was with us, because again, this is the first time we had taken uh, a reserve unit, an entire reserve unit to a combat zone. We hadn't done that since basically World War II. So, which by the way, the Iraq was a conflict, so it's not a war; it's an actual conflict, because to go to war, it takes an act of Congress for them to say, hey, pretty much, hey, we're going to war, and everybody votes on it. That's what's happening. Okay, so you track with me. So, anyways, we took an entire reserve unit. So those of us who were part of the permanent staff at this command, we ensured that these guys were properly trained, and so on and so forth. We all went together to Iraq. So a lot of cool memories. Again, this boat provided a little bit of relief, in between missions. And one of the companies that was again part of it, they were from, I think, some Maryland or some like that. They were pretty much, we did not like them. We had beef with them, is the bottom line. So these fuckers, somebody in the middle of the night, they actually not swam, or took our boat and anchored it in the middle of the lake. And I remember waking up and I was like, hey, where's our boat? Because we used to row across the way to go to the chow hall and eat some chow. And these fuckers just pretty much, took our mode of transportation. No, we did not want to walk. We wanted to go on our fucking boat. So for those of you out there rolling your eyes, yes, we wanted to go to chow in style. Anyways, nobody else wanted to get it. So it took, yours truly, who pretty much, I grew up in Colombia. So, what does that mean is that, I don't know, maybe I got Colombia, by the way, is not a third world country, but I've eaten, drank. In Iraq, I used to go out when we were allowed to, in our missions, We used to buy food and what I used to eat, drink tea. What I didn't give a shit. I never got sick. A lot of us got diet. We used to call it Saddam Hussein's revenge. A lot of people got sick. Let's just put it that way. Not me, not once. So I just got in the water, swam out there, and got our fucking boat back, and we were back, up and running. Because again, you know, we just it was bottom line is a morale booster. And anytime you have those little moments in combat or in conflict or whatever that you can live, and something that can boost the morale, not only yours but of others. Let me tell you, that shit is worth its weight, priceless. Okay, it is priceless. Go ahead next. And then you build some, but the cool thing is that in all these times, is, and in my times of the service, sometimes we were miserable, sometimes we were, you were hot, muggy, you didn't know if you were going to make it home. Is this logistics mission my last one? Am I going to get blown up? Is this my last, my last go here on Earth? You know, Again, misery loves company, but also when you're sharing a vehicle, or you're out there hooking and jabbing with others, or you're, in times of adversity, you build some really strong bonds that wherever you go in life, you find another fellow Marine that walked in the same boots as you did and deployed. you know that shit right there is freaking awesome. And that's one of my boys right there. Actually, this guy right here, we were at truck company together. He was another fellow mechanic as well. And this dude, I mean, I thought I was a nut job, but this guy was next level crazy, cool, funny, and crazy. And I used to call him my alter ego. So that's us right there, just clowning around. I know. Uh, some of you, my fellow officers out here, or senior staff NCOs that are listening to the show, you're probably saying like, "What the fuck? Why are you wearing your camis like that? Out of regs." Hey, you know what? I'm a civilian now. Fuck off. All right. Now, but this is just clowning around, and again, finding some relief, just morale booster. And we took this photo because the bottom line is, let's go to the next one. As shitty as the situation can get, yes, that's that's me going in the can, and that's how a lot of us. I mean, we had to go, but as shitty as the situation can get, and just when you think life is just horrible and miserable, go ahead and go to the next one. You can't be. Sometimes God, the universe, whoever you believe, would throw you a mulligan like this, and then just some of the most beautiful sunsets would just show up, and it would just make this place human, or it would just make this place, in its own weird way, beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and go to the next one. You know, Things like this would just make life, just like wow. In a place like this, you know, beauty exists. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Think about that for a second. Even in Afghanistan, even in some of those remote places, there's beauty to be found, and that's the beauty of life. You know. So basically that was one of those brief moments. We here when I was deployed in this place, Babylon. I have a lot of really cool memories that I'll share with you if you allow me to just bump my gums for a few minutes. So, but before, I think we're going to go ahead and index right over here. I think this is a good stopping point. But before I go, look, if you've been ruminating, and life is just getting at you, because again, life could be beautiful, but then it can also say, hey, here's a little reality check. If you're having one of those moments, reach out to me. You can send me a DM on Facebook. I'm also on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, so check it out all out. Or you call the VA, call the suicide hotline, the TRICARE, Military One Source. Call somebody or reach out to somebody, because while we can do 22 push-ups, pull-ups and all kinds of other challenges out there. The bottom line is that it's not going to replace your life. Okay. And by the way, as corny as it may sound, the brief moments that you're going through shit right now, those are going to pass. I promise you that 100%. So anyways, that's our show for today, everybody. I just want to say Daisuki, Aishtimasu. We're going to go ahead and end this right here. See you later. See you next week. Hayat. Kill. Get some.